Okay, we are working on 8-ball again, oddball, whatever. I have been working on the back box. I kind of missed a video I probably should have taken. I now have the piece of plastic is cut with the sticker on it, and I cut out the little rings for the displays. I've got that pretty close, kind of roughed in, but I kind of want to wait, you know, to sand and paint and everything until I had the correct displays in it. So here's a product you've never seen on this channel before. I hope you know I'm lying because I put Wolffpacs and everything. I swear that guy's probably tired of seeing my name. He's selling them, so he's not tired of seeing my name. So this is going to be the player one display. So we are not using DS1 as he wants to call it. So we're gonna do everything except that because I need that space to mount an LED. And I did think of a better way to do that. Instead of doing a flex head bulb, I'm actually gonna do take a note from my play fields that I do. On my play fields, I just run 2 copper wires and I just strip an LED down to where it's just a little disc. So I'm just going to drill 2 small holes, have the copper wire come up and over, and then just solder the LED between it, and I can kind of adjust it where I need it, and I can make it as long or short, or, you know, I can do whatever I want with it. So usually I do this last. I don't know, I'm doing this first, I guess, on this one because I'm talking. So this is your pile of displays. I will say I think I kind of messed up, or not really messed up, but typically what I do is I order white displays, and then I put, you know, we're kind of doing this upside down, so you got to make sure that dot's in the right place. Typically I order white displays. I didn't even turn them on. It's my soldering iron. Typically I do white displays, and then I put a gel film over the display to make it whatever color I want. On this one, I'm like, well, I only need 2 displays, so let's just order a colored one, which was kind of weird because I decided let's go with an odd color. It's an oddball game. Let's do an odd color display. So what I should have done is ordered white displays and then put in gel film on top of it. So just kind of waiting a little bit for my soldering iron. It's almost done heating up. If you're wondering what soldering iron I use, I have a Hatco FX 888D. I run it at work. I leave it on, you know, 40 hours a week. I have one at home on my desk. Same thing. The only thing that's different is in pinball machines, I have a Hatco pin, and it just has a dial on the side, so I can change it to whatever I want it to. And then it's just a cord that I can plug into the service port, so I don't need the separate base and then the separate, you know, it's just kind of keep it all as one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to hold this flat. I'm going to try to get the display down and centered. So I'm trying to kind of slide the pack up a little bit. Let me get my fingers ready. Okay. And again, I'm just getting that, just doing one, and I can see it's already off a little bit, but what I want to do now, there we go. Just kind of get it more centered, pushing down on it. There we go. That's exactly where I want that. So just gotta do that 5 more times. Usually what I can do, but it's hard to do on the very end one, is I'll just use my fingers, hold it all down in place. But I am kind of soldering from the top, which isn't really, I'm doing solder and the pen at the same location. So there I just had it pushed down to the bottom, so we're fine. So, and as I get more space, it's a little bit easier for me to just Push down on it, hold it in place, let it cool off. And that's not a great solder joint right there. I can already tell by the way it looks. It's not a great one. But here in a second, you know what? I already did that wrong because that's the one I don't want to have on there. So that's when it's glad that I've only done one of them. I flipped it over trying to, I'm talking. I can't work and talk at the same time. You know how it is. So I'm not really worried about that right now being the perfect solder joint because I will go back and redo all of them. And again, that's why I only have one solder joint on here, so I can just slide that right off. So whoops. I know I wasn't holding that right whenever I started it, but I was doing it anyway. I was going for it. Yeah, make sure you peel off these little, you can wait till the end, but these do have a protective layer on them. They look really weird if you leave them on. I've done that. I think in one of my games, if you go out there and look, you'll see that one of them has glossy numbers. But it's so hard to tell. What the heck? I am being so damn clumsy right now. Like, that's annoying. That's gonna keep happening. Okay. So, just looking at that line across there, that little white line, use that as a guide, make sure they're all in a good line. Let's go ahead and I don't need to get that out of there. I just want to, just making sure it wasn't like, it was kind of sharp. So I was just getting rid of the sharp edge. You guys can still, not really, leave me up here. I'm going to adjust this. There you go. So feed in the solder from the opposite side. So much fun, people. This is probably the boring one because like the other ones will give me more stuff to talk about, but you're kind of doing the same thing, you know, 50 times in a row. So these displays are actually green. I don't think I've ever seen a green Wolffpac in person before. So that'll be a first. One thing I did notice is the greens don't have commas, they just have circled dots. So there's just a dot down there instead of being an actual comma. I don't know if there's just an old design that wasn't sold very much of and it changed somewhere around, you know. I mean, I have some Wolffpacs that are a couple years old that are orange. I guess I could go check that game and see if it's circles or commas. But yeah, basically, if you're not familiar or you're not sure what's going on, my oddball has a custom translight, so to speak. It's a sticker on a piece of clear plastic, but it's all been resized because it's not a full-size head or anything like that. So the window is only big enough for 5 numbers, so I'm just going to drop the 0. That way no programming has to be done, nothing has to be changed. It's just, instead of 22,000 points, I'll have 2,200 points. It's not going to make any difference in how the game plays or whatever. If you want to know what your actual score is, just add a 0 to the end. So basically, it does come with a parts list, tells you everything that goes with it, how many you got, and where it should go on the board. Realistically, there's only one spot where I need to look at and see what's what, and that's whenever we get to the little the ICs, the little computer, the little chips. That's the only spot that really you're like, wait, what's going on? Because you'll have a bunch of resistors that are linked together all in one pack. That's going to be all these across the bottom. You're going to have one resistor. I haven't opened my bag yet. The resistor I was about to show you, this is from the other Wolffpac. So then you're going to have one resistor that's by itself. The one resistor that's by itself goes on this board right there where it says R1. So that goes for that. But we'll get to that in a minute. So all of these are these right here. I think every time I've gotten Wolffpacs from him, he's given me extras. I might not need R14 because it's for the last display that I'm not using. But just in case things ever change and this goes in a real head, I want to have this fully assembled except for that one digit, which I'll just keep that in the coin door. That way, if I ever need to have this be a true 6-digit display, it's done and ready to go. So just feed these through the 2 holes, pull it through, make sure it's flat, and then just bend the legs out of the way so you can solder all of them at the same time. That way they're just not overlapping each other. We're gonna be good, So I always just kind of bend them at a 45-degree angle. Probably getting a lot of background noise right now. The heater's on. It was like 70 degrees yesterday, and today it's 20. So our geothermal is running again. Fun times. But I think it's supposed to be back up to 70 here in like a day or two. Just weird. Yeah, so we got one extra resistor again, but do not confuse that with the resistor that needs to go on the other board. So, and the dogs are running around. Someone's probably going to about to take them outside because they'll get real excited by the garage door to go out and play ball. This will be a bunch of nails on hardwood. Yep. It's the only time she barks is whenever you're walking towards if you're going outside with her and you're walking towards the little chuck-it, the tennis ball thrower. It's the only time she ever barks. The yellow lab, at least. The black lab's he's only like not even 2 years old. He barks at everything. The yellow lab's like almost 10. White-faced. Again, these are those cheap little flush cuts you can get off of Amazon. I was gonna say I just mentioned them in a video, but that video is completely irrelevant to Oddball, and I don't know when it's getting posted. I was rebuilding a soundboard for Lost World. It was sounding a little bit weird. So I rebuilt the soundboard and now it sounds great. The tones have more of a rich, full sound to them instead of they were getting kind of almost distorted, almost like more robotic. So just kind of okay. So next Well, that's weird. Huh, he gave me an extra one. Yeah, you're only supposed to get 2 of these. Well, better than 1 too many than 1 not enough. I'm going to take that and just set it on my thing there. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to let that cool off. And then I'm going to touch both sides of the black here. Do not touch where that pin is on the other side. You will burn yourself. So, and I'm just making sure that's pressed flat against the board there. Yeah, so I'm not really worried about how it's sitting right now. Probably didn't hear it, but it made a little click because that's whenever that little black piece is getting flat on the board there. So, same thing. Now we just got I almost said 10. Now we got to solder these. Typically these will take me about 20 minutes each. Not too bad. You can go faster, but I typically find it's like that's when you miss one, or that's when you end up bridging 2 connectors together, 2 pins together on accident. So this will probably take me longer because I'm talking and I got to redo something, or yeah, I just make sure that the ring on the circuit board disappears, and then give it an extra, you know, like 1 second just to kind of soak in. That's really all you're doing. And again, you're not using the tip of your soldering iron, you're using the side, just back about 1/16 of an inch on the side. But you got to make sure you don't shove the tip into the one, in my case, is the one that I just previously did, because that's going to be how you end up bridging them together. So, making sure none of those are bridged, didn't miss any. So, that board's done, besides the digit that we are not using. So, now I got this one guy. So, we already got this one individual resistor that's left out. I'm going to shove that in here just so we can get rid of it. It's going into R1. So then just fold the 2 legs over. Okay. Then you got these 2 diodes. You can see right there, the left side over here has a black ring on them. They're going to go right there, and the black ring is going to go on the white line. Yeah. And the dog's done playing ball. She can't play ball very long. Try to center that a little bit better. So those are done. We can go ahead and solder those, or you can just leave them till later. It makes 0 difference. Pretty sure I even did a, what do you call it? A DIY video specifically on how to do these. So probably don't need to be boring you right now with this either. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and jump over to these chips. These chips are really the only time that I feel I need to look at this, look at the circuit board. So you do have, you see there's a little notch right there. That notch is also listed on the board, and that one goes right there. That's the only place it'll fit. So the other one, you got to look at the part number down here, and like this one says, I can see it says 2003. That's part of the part number. So you can see 2003 goes in U2. So U2 is right there up top. These legs are going to be spread out too wide. So typically I can just kind of pinch them. You can see they're just not a perfect square. They're flared out. So I just try to square them up a little bit. And then just start at one end and just kind of walk it down. There you're in. So once it's in, flip it over. I'm just going to flare these out a little bit so it doesn't fall out. You know, it's not that hard to do, so not going anywhere. The long one's only going to fit in the long section. Let's piece those together a little bit. This is when it sucks to have big fingers. Come on. Get in there. There we go. There we go, the last one. So again, in this case, just make sure that that dot is a stand to the left, so it matches the markings on the board. But you can mess up the top and bottom chip. U1 and U2 can be interchanged, and it will not work if you do that. So flare that out, flare that out. So those are good. Those aren't going anywhere. Due to the curve of the pen, it's a little bit easier for me to go to the inside ones first. A little dirty. There's a guy on Pinside today that mentioned he's doing a like re-screening an 8-ball playfield. And he said he has a bunch of rough ones. So basically you can send yours to him. Not now. This is something he just started working on. But what he's thinking is he'll have some already done. And then you can ship him yours, and like the day, so to speak, the day he gets yours, he'll ship you one that's already done. So that way there's not really any waiting time, but you know, he wants yours first. So other than it kind of sucks to not just take stuff off the top of one playfield and put it on the top of the next playfield. That way you're not just, you know, that kind of sucks. And especially like I usually take everything and just slide it. Again, even the bottom side, I slide it from one playfield over to the other one. You know, so I typically don't just have an empty playfield sitting there, but if I can find a trashed one, I'll just send them the trashed one. And, you know, keep mine or something, or I don't know, somebody has a core that we can send in instead of the one that's in the game. I don't know, that's a random idea. So, okay, now we need to do the big connectors or the small ones, it doesn't matter. We'll do the small ones. Da-da-da. So those just go in how they fit. There's no, can't put those in wrong. You don't need to prove me wrong that they can be put in wrong somehow because you modified it or whatever, but so same thing. Just soldered on one pin to each one, so that way I can just push on it from the bottom. Make sure that that's... These are usually square. I haven't really had a problem with these. That one's a little bit off. Yeah, it barely ticked. So those are usually square. It's the 90-degree angle ones. Usually they're hard to get flush right off the bat. So yeah, I have been playing 8-ball recently. It's playing good. Today my orders showed up, so I have my the correct flipper bats I want to put in there, and I've got I don't remember what's in the order. I know I ordered some perfect play rubbers for other games that I have. Oh, playfield. Flipper bushings for the playfield, because I still want to swap that out on 8-ball. Since I'm going to have it apart to put in the other flipper bats, I'm going to go ahead and replace those playfield bushings because I didn't have any last time. I also want to look into the ball save on the left. Sometimes it launches it like, I would say all the way across the playfield. Like it'll hit the bottom of the pop bumper, or it'll go over and kind of hit the rubber ring at the bottom of the like the 8-ball orbit on the right. You know, be nice and powerful. Sometimes it barely makes it out of the out lane. So I got to see why my power is kind of varying. So one time it didn't even make it out of the out lane. I was like, that's not good. So I probably just need to pull it apart, clean it, just check it over. So we got 2 spots left. That's going to be these 2 tiny little capacitors. What's weird is everything else I deal with, capacitors have a positive and negative, and they have to be put in correct. You know, you have to put them in the correct order. You know, these, which I mean, they use them on pinball and stuff like that. You'll see these on the back of. I'm not sure the size of these, if they're the same size. Capacitor 1 UF, yeah. So I think that's the same size you would find on like the back of a switch on your playfield. Those don't have polarity either. So I don't know if it's just because it's so freaking tiny it doesn't matter or what, but these are the only ones I've ever seen that don't have polarity. Not that I've been around forever or anything, but I do capacitors for a living, but it's all automotive based. So maybe that's why. But maybe in computers and stuff, it's common to not have polarity on capacitors. I don't know if size has anything to do with it, because these, like I said, these are so freaking tiny. So that's done. So here you can see we have a spot, that's where your key needs to go. So still wrong. There you go, right there. Arrow points at the hole, right? So same thing we done on everything else. Flip it over. Just gonna do one. Flip it over. Do one. So don't really pay attention to how these line up, because I've seen it before where these don't line up at all, but all the pins are exactly straight. In this case, you can see this connector and this pin is slightly forward compared to this one's dropped back. So keeping my fingers off the pin that I'm about to solder, rock that back and forth, just make sure it's flat. Come back to this one. Rock that back and forth, make sure it's flat. Oh, it wasn't cooled off yet. There we go. Good straight line. We're almost done, folks. This last little row, and then put on the foam. Come on. Usually a lot of times what I do here is I'm slightly touching the top of my soldering iron just to get a puddle started so it has more contact patch, and then I'm leading in to where I'm actually feeding it from the opposite side of the pin. I know I've said this before, but you know, I just kind of, maybe you weren't paying attention the last time I said it. I don't know. This one looks a little shallow. Yeah, and it's the extra, the rosin core stuff you know, in there. That's where you're getting all the, I use a 80-20 or a 70-30. I don't know what this is. I go through a lot of it, Kester. I tell you what I don't like is lead-free solder. Ugh. That stuff is horrible. Okay, so I do have a pile of extras of these, so I'm not really worried about messing this one up. Another thing that I've noticed, maybe I'm used to a 7-digit displays, because as far as commas, even on here, the new foam has a comma kicked out of the bottom. Let me grab one of those, but if it's 7-digit, it won't work because they're smaller. So but one time I had him send me a bulk of these because I was like, well, I was always modifying colors and modifying. Yeah, I think these are all, I got a ton of 7-digit because I was changing colors and I messed some up, and you know, it was stupid cheap, so I just bought like 20 extras. So, but these all here, you can kind of see, these all have a comma mark down at the bottom corner. So I was kind of thinking, well, if I had a 6-digit with a comma, I could put it in an odd spot because we're only going to do 5-digit. So the highest you can get on my game is 99,000, not 900, you know, whatever. So since we are modifying this, what I need to do is basically trim this just right down this edge. Scissors would be great. I don't think I have scissors down here. Razor blade? I gotta have a razor blade. What's funny is I'm pretty sure I used a razor blade to open this package. Probably sitting on it. Here it is. So I just kind of want to make sure I stay most of the way as far as I can off to the right. So nice little clean edge there. Good job, me. So get back on the table here so you can see what I'm doing. So got that nice little crisp edge. We can put that right there. It's going to leave that spot for the LED that we got to put in. So this piece of foam is really the only thing that's kind of like permanently modified for 5-digit. There we go, that's good. I always try to make sure you don't just slide your fingers on here, because it seems like then it leaves like a grayish white little line. And this adhesive's pretty freaking sticky. You shouldn't have to do that anyway. So that's how that's going to go. And then I'll do, I don't think, okay, I have these sitting here, so I can kind of give you an idea what I'm going to do. These are color changing, so these aren't the same ones. But essentially, that little leg just broke off. You know, I'll have like this right next to it, and that's where that one up is going to be. And then I'll have 2 copper wires heading up over out of the way. So these are all some color changing ones I have laying around. Changed my mind on a wall that I was on a playfield that I was doing. So then this, pretty self-explanatory. This needs to go on here. So that's good. And then, so the one that I already did, this is for my credit ball display. I went ahead and I just left the foam in, and the foam right there for those 2 numbers still has the plastic on the back. So if I ever want to, I can just, you know, get some tweezers and pop that off, and it'll be a normal 6-digit display. It'll all be done, good to go, right? So I tell you what we're gonna do. We are going to head over to the game. I'll go ahead and throw these in there and see how it looks, see if it works, see if I fucked up. So hold on a second, let me pause.